think all the bulls on this panel are long-term bullish on ETH, well past 10K price of ETH. It's just the timeline that is the question. Now is the time. The end of this podcast. This panel's been fantastic. Thank you, ETH Bulls, for a read of a fantastic panel here. Now is the time for price predictions. I hope you have them ready. So last time we talked in terms of cycles. We felt like in December 2020 that we were headed into the next bull cycle. It's kind of the way we phrased it. It's hard to know whether it makes sense to talk in cycles anymore. I know some of us here probably believe in this kind of like more elongated super cycle as Anthony and DC have kind of articulated it. But let's stay with the nomenclature of cycles here just to keep things consistent. What is your price prediction now? We'll start with DC at the end of this cycle, whether that cycle kind of ends in 9 months or 18 months or 2 years before we have a major drawdown event. DC, what do you think? You hold with your prediction? You can adjust it.
I'm going to adjust it based on the speed with which we hit 4K because that was truly astounding. And I knew that would be a critical level, and that's probably why we corrected off of it. So I'm going to change it to say through the end of this cycle, we'll probably see a 10K to 30K Ether. And I know those numbers are big, but there can be real speculative mania in this market, and it can exceed what we've seen already, and it can border on true euphoria. And I think over 5 years, just to give you a sense of how bullish I am long term, I think we can see 100K Ether over 5 years if Ether is widely used as a programmable store of value collateral asset, which is what I think its long-term destiny is. So long term, I'm super bullish. Midterm, I'm just riding out this chop, and I'm not going to worry too much about what the price does tomorrow. I'm more interested in what it does a couple of years from now.
Wow, some pretty big numbers. Cyrus, what do you think? Give your predictions, my friend.
This is maybe a taboo, but I'm gonna abstain from a price prediction. I've never done price prediction in all my years in the Ethereum ecosystem. To me, that implies like, if you think it's the top, should you be selling? How much should you be selling? When should you be sizing down? Similarly, when should you be buying back in and kind of rebuying the dip? I guess kind of like the bearish Eric mentality of trying to trade the back and forth. And for me, I think I'm in it for the long haul and the ride, and see how parabolic this thing can go. I don't sell at the top of last cycle, which may have been kind of not the best trading decision. And now a few years later, we're kind of just like well past those numbers. I think part of being a trader in this space is knowing when not to trade, knowing that, kind of admitting that we have no idea how high this thing can go. It could go to 10,000, it could go to 100,000, it could go to wherever. I just don't know. I'm just in for the ride and see where this takes me. But zero clue what the price is going to be.
What do you think
Cyrus,
about
on a scale of 1 to 10, how bullish are you on the fundamentals of Ether, the asset?
I mean, it's easy. I mean, a 10 for sure. Like I'm like, I've never been more bullish, but yeah, that's probably obvious from from even being here.
Cyrus, this is a little longer term. So DC said 5 years from now, he wouldn't be surprised to see 100K plus ETH. What do you think about that?
There's so many things going on. There's so many kind of X factors, both in the macro world and in the Ethereum ecosystem. It could easily hit it. It could easily, who knows? I've structured my involvement in the financial side of Ethereum so that like don't have to worry about those price points in that way. I'm just kind of trying to take a more measured approach to my portfolio, and just, again, in for the ride. I think it's going up. Where it stops, no clue. Don't care.
Anthony, how about you? Same question. Price predictions.
Well, first of all, I think Eric Connor hacked Cyrus's brain or something to make him the resident bear here. No, but I actually respect Cyrus's approach here. obviously haven't been shy with my price predictions and everything that I'm saying. You know, some people give me shit about it, but I never actually put a time frame on it. I really don't give a crap about the time frames. I'm obviously in this for the long term. I have already kind of decided, I decided this a while ago, that I'm here for life. So if I live to be 80 years old, well, I've still got another 50 years in me. So, you know, I take the multi-decade approach here. But in terms of like this cycle, I guess if you want to call it price prediction, I mean, I agree with DC. We could see 10 to 30k or something like that. And I also agree with DC that within 5 years, a 100k ETH is definitely on the table. 5 years is an eternity in crypto. It may seem like a short period of time in normal kind of like years, but in crypto, I mean, 5 years ago was 2016. That was ETH at like $10, right? And that was BTC at what, like not even $1,000 or something like that. And you know, you got to look at market caps and not just price of assets and things like that. I get that, but at the end of the day, the fundamentals for Ethereum haven't changed at all during this downturn. Like they've probably gotten even better because we just keep building, we keep discovering new ways to add value to Ethereum. You know, 1559 is still getting shipped. The merge is still happening. Layer 2 is still happening. I mean, it's happening right before our eyes. Everything else is still growing. Like DeFi is still growing. I know obviously yields come down when the market quiet, but yields are going to come down long term anyway as more capital enters this system. The yields being high is a function of two things. It's one, the market being hot, people wanting to borrow stable coins to go leverage long or whatever, and two, the is a consequence. One is a consequence of two, which is that there's just not much capital in the system compared to the traditional system. So if we have trillions of dollars flowing into this system, even during a hot market, the yields aren't going to be that high because we're just going to have more capital to pull from, more stable capital. So I think that, you know, regardless of that, the fundamentals are still stronger than ever and they get better by the day. And because of that, I mean, my long-term kind of like outlook for ETH and Ethereum is still incredibly bullish. I've been a permabull for as long as I can remember, but I see zero reason to be bearish in the long term. Now, short term, of course, we can go sideways for months here. That's just the way markets work, because markets primarily work off human emotion, and humans aren't always rational. Actually, most of the time, humans aren't very rational when it comes to investing and when it comes to these kind of like games we play with speculative manias. But like just generally, as long as the building keeps happening, as long as the fundamentals keep getting stronger, then there is no reason to think that ETH is going to just like, you know, go back to, you know, $500, whatever, you know, bearish predictions I've been seeing flying around out there. And we don't exactly have to wait long for this stuff either. As we have gone through, 1559 is still slated for, you know, end of July, early August now. And then the merge hopefully in Q1 2022. But even if for some reason the merge takes till the end of next year, I don't think that really affects much. Like that's such a short amount of time. And then once it happens, people get over it. I mean, I remember people actually saying for a long time, it's like, oh my God, proof of stake took forever to come. We launched proof of stake, and now no one says that anymore. And like no one really cares anymore. That was just a thing of the past now. And no one's even talking about the price anymore, because when people were saying that, the price of ETH was like $200. Now the price of ETH is still $2,400. So from that point of view, I think you know, long term nothing's changed. The long term, you should be an ultra bull. I mean, I'm still buying ETH every day, like literally every day, with whatever I can, with whatever money I can get together from whatever yield farming profits. I'm buying it because if you're in it for the long term, then you shouldn't concern yourself with these like short-term movements, because as Cyrus said, you're going to look back on them in a couple of years and they're going to look like a blip on the chart compared to where we are. So yeah, I guess those are my general kind of thoughts on the market.
So like one comment to add on that, like, you know, with in terms of price predictions, is like, how many times have you guys said to yourselves over the past couple of years that like, oh, when ETH gets to X price, I'm going to sell, you know, 10% or 20% or whatever, especially when, you know, we suffered through, you know, a couple of years of a range bound in between like 100 and 300 through 2019 and 2020. I'm sure everybody said, okay, like when ETH gets back to all-time high, or when ETH gets to 1,000, I'm going to sell this much, right? And then it comes and, you know, maybe you sell some. And then it's like, okay, now what? Well, like now that you're here, it's like not only validation for all of the work and kind of the investment thesis that you had, but you know that the journey is not even done. Like, okay, what about everything else you thought was going to happen that still hasn't happened yet, right? We only maybe banged out like 20% of the things that I thought were going to happen, and we're already here. Like, what am I supposed to sell just because we hit this number when you know all these fundamentals are on the line? And you know, I can see something similar playing out. Like, like, okay, ETH gets to 10, let's say ETH gets to 10K in like the next 1 to 2 years, but like, you still know that there's all this other stuff coming, because you know, like Ethereum, the grand vision is not going to be complete in 1 or 2 years, but so it's like, who cares if it gets to 10K? Like, that's not what,
This is
it's not what we're
the
here
thing,
for.
Cyrus. Yeah, this is the thing I say is like so if you have your living expenses paid for, like when you sell your ETH, you have to buy something else, right?
Yep.
And it's like if you're maximally bullish on ETH, what else are you gonna buy? I mean, if you have what you need to live on, you just kind of go full circle and you're like, okay, well, I sold ETH and that was a nice tax event, but I kind of want that ETH back, don't I?
Exactly.
Something like
And given that, like, you know, the cardinal rule of crypto investing is don't invest more than you can afford to lose, then really nobody should be selling for any reason unless there's like a really good fundamental reason for doing so, right? But like arbitrary prices, like round numbers, whatever, I don't know. That's just all noise to me. Like, just doesn't mean anything. 10K is just a number.